Joining us now, special guest, crisis management and litigation support and public relations expert and president of Reputation Doctor LLC, Mike Paul, good friend of mine as well. Mike also hosts a show called Reputation in Crisis. It's a digital show. You can find it on YouTube. And still with me, attorneys Marie Pedetta and Matthew Barhoma as well. All right, Mike, I want to start with you because, again, the issue here is he continues to talk. And as I'm watching what he had to say today, I'm thinking to myself, I understand he's in crisis, and you understand crisis, but he's starting to become not likable. Your thoughts on his decision to continue to speak out on this issue?
Well, I'm going to contradict myself, which usually doesn't happen. So when Alec first started talking, I said it was a huge mistake. But now he's calmed down, and he's talking about the issue that's the most important, which is not about him. Why was allegedly a live hot round that could kill someone on the set, period? The rules are, which he's been saying in every interview, not just this week, but months before, that there's not supposed to be any live rounds on any set whatsoever. That's not his responsibility. That's the armorer's responsibility. And I want to add a very important message for the first time today. It's the first time I'm saying there should not be any live round in any Hollywood production at all today. We've seen that there's technology with computer graphics and sound that you could have a fake gun in every movie moving forward. The only way that's going to happen, if there's new legislation, probably should come from the U.S. Senate, with a senator from California and New York, where a lot of films are made, to change the law and change the law as soon as possible. No more live rounds, no more dummy rounds, no more blank rounds ever on a set ever again, because we have the technology to sound just like a live round, and we've had it for years.
All right, so just to double down on that, you know, his reputation is in crisis. If you happen to get something like that going, in terms of rehabilitating his reputation, is that something he would get behind? Is that something he would say, hey, I know what it's like, I know what can happen? This is something he would get behind to help improve his Q rating, get him back working. He's claiming he's not able to work, he's getting fired from jobs, he's in a tough spot.
Well, another key phrase here is he insurable? That is a huge issue, quite frankly, not just in this case, but also in the Johnny Depp case, which has a lot of legs, and we won't go there. But in this case, he wants to be insurable. And getting insurable means you emphasize the facts that don't deal with you. And the facts that don't deal with him are, he's not an armorer. He's also not the assistant director who handed it to him. He had two individuals that were supposed to check that gun before it ever entered his hand, and they fell down on the job. Whether he had anything to do with what happened next is something else. But until that point, whoever put it in the gun, whoever made sure that the gun was cold when it went into his hand, including the assistant director, not just the armorer, are both responsible for that. And then another question, which is coming up now from the armorer this week, were there bullets sent to her that had live rounds in it? Meaning, was the supplier of the bullet also culpable? We're going to find out. These are important questions. It also goes to the expertise of the New Mexico Police Department. We've seen many a crime, Michael, over the years, you and I, of small police departments who don't have a lot of experience with death, with guns at this level, certainly with the global media following them with every step that they take. This isn't NYPD, right? What kind of experience do they have to even ask the right questions back then, and even still today, that we're asking right now?
You know, that's a great point, Mike, because Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who is the armorer, or was the armorer on the set, has released a statement regarding something along the lines of what you're talking about, questioning the actions of that New Mexico Police Department. Let's pull that up. Here's what she had to say. She says, we know now for certain there were live rounds on the set. It is inconceivable that the sheriff would not seek answers to this fundamental question, and it raises a serious problem with the entire investigation. We have long sought this answer and will not give up pursuing the truth to find it. Now, the question they had, and I'll bring in Marie and Matthew for this, the question they had was, who is responsible for putting those live rounds on the set? That's the big question they have. And they say that's the question that needs to be answered. No testing was done on the rounds. They're saying, why wouldn't you do testing on the rounds? The answer from the county, the sheriff's office, well, too many fingers would have been touching it. Wouldn't have been useful. And they say, we already know how it got on the set. The folks who were suppliers have already told us they supplied it. And we also heard from Hannah that she's the one that put the bullets in the gun. So I want to ask you, both Matthew and Marie. Marie, I'll start with you. Did the sheriff's department err by not testing those and testing the DNA on those rounds?
I think they should have. Even if it yielded nothing, it would have been a consequential piece of evidence, even if it showed nothing. Nothing in these types of cases is something. At least it eliminates other possibilities. And I agree with the reputation doctor that, you know, at some point, it was a good thing that Alec Baldwin started talking, but I disagree that he's likable. He's not a likable person, and I feel he should just talk through his attorneys and just stop talking.
Matthew Barhoma, did the sheriff drop the ball? Is this just passing the buck here by Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who is in a very difficult position? She's that middle person, really the one responsible for the gun. So she's certainly trying to pass as much blame around as she can. But does she have a point here as far as the testing of the rounds on the set?
You know, I find myself having a hard time agreeing with her, and the reason is you should have gone through it so that there is no commentary that this was a shoddy investigation. You should have done it. Sure, we don't have an identity issue here. Sure, we know who did it, but we don't know how the firearms, it's still a looming question, how these bullets ended up, you know, making its way here. And I disagree vastly, okay? I think that Alec Baldwin needs to stop speaking immediately. That's not to say that charges can't come down. Just because you think that charges won't doesn't mean that they can't. And not only that, a lot of the statements that he's saying, I actually find to be very incriminating, like the fact that he's referencing a history of using firearms. So you know how to check firearms, you know how to make sure that every time you use a firearm that there's no bullet in it, there's no live round in it, and you shot it here, it went off here. So to me, all these statements could only rise problems for him. They never could remedy him. He's not likable, at least currently. I don't think he's very likable, but there is a chance for him if he plays his cards right from here.
Yeah, I don't know what the right answer here is. I really don't. Well, we do have to end this. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time out to be on my show. You know I appreciate you, brother. We'll have you on again real soon.